Chairperson Arundhati Bhattacharya joining us on the show right now. Ms. Bhattacharya, morning. Good to have you on the show. What is it that we're staring at? You don't know how this pandemic is going to last. Hopefully in India, the lockdown should help plateau the cases and the number of infected at least. But purely in terms of economy, the banking sector, what is your assessment or how badly, we could be pegged back?
Oh, well, first of all, good morning. And we are all keeping our fingers crossed that India doesn't go the way that Europe and America have gone. But having said that, this is something that has never been witnessed by any of us in our lifetimes. And to say, therefore, that we know what the outcome will be is really quite foolish. At this point, it's a question of taking a day at a time, ensuring that there is no panic, ensuring that we keep providing the confidence that the markets need to understand that, yes, things are getting looked after, that we are capable of withstanding storm no matter how severe, and that we will come out well on the other side of it. So, while the main point of attention today is health and how to ensure that, people stay well. But we also need to have groups of people planning what happens on the other side of this. And there, I think, we have to understand that this is another situation like the 1991s when, you will need very strong radical reforms to put the economy back on track. And the reason for that is we already had, a number of soft spots in the economy when this whole thing broke. And obviously, those soft spots will no longer be soft spots. The whole economy is going to be impacted. Given also the fact that, we have not been able to keep the workers at their place of work, so that the moment this pandemic eases, that they can get back and restart operations. So most sites have got demobilized, and so remobilization will take some time. So even on a best case scenario, if you say that, we are looking at 60 days for this whole thing to abate, but even then remobilization will take a bit of a time. So the policymakers will have to obviously then keep tweaking whatever measures they have given in order to make sure that the near term is taken care of, and then look at the medium and the long term to put the economy back on a firm growth path. But, every challenge comes with its opportunities. It's how well we identify those opportunities and sort of use them that will mark us out as a nation. And I think, we have a strong leadership. We have a lot of talent in the country, a lot of wisdom in the country. All of that now should be focused at finding ways of what we should be doing as soon as this pandemic is over.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ms. Bhattacharya, that's a very interesting point that you made, that now is the time to act and plan for what is about to hit us once the lockdown, once the pandemic and the crisis does get arrested. What do you think can the government, with the small elbow room or the narrow elbow room that they have at their hands right now, what is it in terms of policy tweaks can they do to try and mitigate at least what we are going to stare at in terms of an economic hit?
See, if you are looking at immediate mitigation, I don't think the government has an option but to print and spend. It has to do that. So, as people are calling it, it is borrowing from the future. But we should not continue that beyond a particular point of time. The main, I would say, success of that depends upon how quickly we can turn that off and get people back into proper productive employment. You have to use that only as long as that is absolutely necessary. After that, people must get back into productive employment. And for that, there are several sectors that are impacted the government needs to take action on those sectors. What is impacting them? You look at the power sector and the way the dues are piling up. We cannot allow the DISCOM dues to pile up in this manner. Now, to leave it all to the state government and say that that is a state matter is no longer going to help. Now that the states also know that even in respect of a pandemic, they need to cooperate and collaborate, and they have done it earlier as well in matters like the GST, the states need to come together and resolve this issue. We can't allow it to fester forever. So these are things, tough decisions have to be taken, but they have to be taken jointly, collaboratively in a federal structure in order to benefit all of India. Similarly, if you look at the real estate issues, let's really get down to what is bothering it and try and ease those. The biggest problems we have seen in the ease of doing business is the fear factor of what will happen, who will question, why should I take this decision? Those are things, that have to be now put aside. And we have to do things in the best interest of the public and in the best interest of the nation. Fault finding should not be the main pursuit of the hour. Solution finding is what we need to do. And solutions are available. It's not that they are not. It needs will. It needs the ability to get people on a same platform and collaborate. It can be done.
Ms. Bhattacharya, typically when you say a crisis, the bad news is that the credit culture also takes a backseat. Some of them could genuinely have problems, others may use the situation to their advantage to not follow a disciplined credit culture. Is that the biggest risk, that this kind of a crisis will just pushes the credit culture back just when IBC and other things had sorted the credit culture in India? Now relaxations will come, the humane angle and the humanitarian angle would come. Some genuinely need it and some may misuse it.
See, as I said, the main key is when to stop the relaxations. Relaxations will be needed because at this point of time, you really cannot, separate the wheat from the chaff. So yes, there will be some amount of misuse. You can't stop it. But you should start tightening the screws again when the time is right. And I think, that therein lies the wisdom of our people as to when to stop the relaxations and to start getting back onto track again. Once we have crossed that, then things can stabilize. See, many a times what happens is that when we start giving these relaxations, we just go on and on with them because they are populist in nature. Now, we've got to avoid the temptation of getting into that. As long as people really need it to get back on their feet, yes, it should be there. And then you roll it out, then roll it back again and go back to what you really wanted to do, which is to clean up the credit culture, which is to ensure that we have better governance standards. So all of those will have to be reimposed. Today it's like wartime. It is actually a war that we are fighting. The foe might be, absolutely microscopic, but it is a war. So in war times, you have to make relaxations and you can't start looking, as to who is really deserving and who isn't. For instance, with this EMI deferment, I think the State Bank has taken a call to do it from the back end. There might be at least, 20-30% people who will not want their EMI to be deferred. Now, they can always make that payment and that will be treated as an advance payment. So, we have to call upon the basic nature of people now that, yes, we are going to give relaxations, but let's not sabotage our country by misusing it. Let's take what is really required and ensure that there is leftover for others who also may need it. And those who don't require, they should come forward instead and volunteer that we don't require it, so you do not have to give it to us. That's the way people come together in the times of crisis. And we need to appeal to the best nature amongst people, to do that.
Ms. Bhattacharya, always such a pleasure having you on the show, and thanks for giving us such candid opinion on how the government as well as all of us need to tackle this situation. Stay safe. We'll speak with you again soon, hopefully.